Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. This is Experience Points, and here we are for another Let's Play. Well, we just completed Stalingrad, so now we have an opportunity to go either north or east. So I think we're going to try this north campaign. Mission here, Kuibyshev. Maybe that was not said right, but let's see how it's done. Okay, yes. This one, okay. This one was tough. Well, probably just as hard as the Eagles mission, but let's see how it's done. And just to point out here, a few things about this map. Firstly, just a gameplay issue. This is a massive map. Unfortunately, the way this game's been made, as you see, there's actually stuff behind here that you kind of need, and you have to turn off. You'd see your toggle sheets, and your minimap isn't overly useful. But that means that when you go to attack something, you can't actually see the unit's probability of success. So, yeah, we're going to turn that off anyway. The supply routes, you only have one useful supply source, and the enemy, or the Soviets, actually have that partisans ability. Now it does take 4 partisans on each side of the 4 partisans ability use, I should say, to actually stop your traffic coming up your supply route, but that's 2 on each side, so that's at least 2 turns, so you do have to be always on it. So there is that. With their supply routes, it isn't really possible, because even if you try to shoot a unit up the side, it's not possible to take this double wheel block, but that is part of a strategy to take a unit off the other side of the river. So yeah, I think we'll just get to this. Now you notice I got rid of a unit. You do need to actually disband. And I will turn back toggle sheets back on. This unit has a defense of 2. If you try to put it against German armor, against Soviet tanks, it will get absolutely annihilated. So reorder this unit, or sort of put it back in so you can resupply your other more heavily higher defense rated units, and you also get this engineering specialist step, which is going to be important, because as you notice, one of your tanks doesn't have it, and one of your elite German motorized doesn't have it as well. So it's quite important to put the best and the best units with the best specialist step. So begin by disbanding. Next, as this goes, okay, your engineer will breach the step here. If you don't actually get a retreat, you may want to restart, because otherwise you have to pull this unit all the way back, and you're not putting your best step forward. Okay, this mission really is about pushing forward. I wasn't too happy about that. I normally get an overrun so I can at least attack the tank. Use your airstrikes to attack armor or heavily entrenched units. So there, another engineer step to attack this unit. You must have a unit in Stalingrad on a supply source. I forgot about this once, and yes, it didn't turn out good. Okay, try to push these units as far as they can go so they won't get to attack. I have tried times where I've actually put this unit, just going to pause this for a second, where I've put this unit here and attacked here, and try and have my infantry come up here. It's just not worked though. I had to replay this map at least 20 times. You may wonder why I pulled back my forces as I did here. This is a little bit of a bait, because I want them to go for this, and I want these 2 very heavily supported units with their specialist step, with their T-34s, to actually get away from the river, so I can try to sneak up some of my weaker Romanian infantry units. Now there is a lot that the computer has to do here. Generally I just alt-tab the game when the computer's having their turn, because you can't do anything. So it is just a lot of waiting here. This mission is probably the second hardest, but it is quite fun. Still, with that said, it certainly tries to continually make use of that partisan's ability, and also continually push up lines of defense on your way to your first objective. And just to take note, you need to take your first objective by turn 9 and your second one by 14. So there we go. My armor. It's very important to note. These German motorized can be reinforced with just normal infantry. So, example, the unit I disbanded, I can actually put into here. German armor cannot. It actually needs armor. And now you're not given those reinforced units unless you use prestige, which we're not going to do. So it is best to put your specialist step first into your tank, because once he starts to lose units, his efficiency is dramatically decreased. You will notice that weather does play a part here. We do have, unfortunately, weather here. Now I did take a specialist step off infantry because this is about motorized. And I am going to put him on here. As you see, I did enforce him here, so it's also important that you keep that supply line secure. So these guys are going to try to come across the river. You need to make sure that they can't. So here we go. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Just take note of your experienced units versus your non-experienced units. If you reinforce an experienced unit with ones from a non-experienced unit, you will actually de-experience that unit, because I think it calculates experience by, or veterancy you could say, by the overall experience of each of its part. So this is just about pushing forward now. We want to get these units moving up. There's not too much of an issue at the start here. I am trying to, as you can see, cut off those experienced units. I know that they'll actually take the bait and push down, so I want to keep these guys isolated. They've never seen them head east to try to take another supply point. I think they're just, the AI thinks if they're too tempted by one supply source, I'll just stay there, so that works out well. These units are quite important for keeping the partisans out of your area, particularly keeping your supply route clean. If you don't have any units down in the rear guard, then you are actually going to be in a serious problem later when you have no units down there and they cut off your supply. So, and it happens where you can take the first objective on time, and the second one is undoable because suddenly you've run out of supply. So that can be quite frustrating because this isn't exactly a short mission. Okay, now I'm trying to just soften up that tank because we're going to push through. There we go. I just resupplied that unit in and he gained experience. A bit frustrating he didn't move. I could have shot up quite far in that case, but never mind. Trying to use my overrun there. Because I resupplied that unit in that turn, it means that I'm not able to actually have that unit come into play until next turn when he's resupplied. Okay, there we go, we're shooting up. And don't be afraid to shoot up, you do have your resupply ability, which comes in handy. Now I did cross this other unit, this non-veteran unit, to the other side of the river. This is because we're going to push him up on the other side to try to get rid of this Soviet-controlled territory, so that if a partisan ability is used, for example, in this hexagon here and this hexagon here, they couldn't cut off our supply if my units weren't there. If you do have a unit on the road, they're not able to actually cut your supply in that hexagon. So this is a lot of micromanagement there. Okay, I found this unit here is quite handy if you're trying to scoot up the road to cut off reinforcements for these units. But it looks like my Romanian infantry is actually doing that quite nicely. I'm not worried if these come out of supply. These guys are only really there to cut off supply. So I'm going to resupply him so I can try getting him up here next turn. You'll find this is a lot of the trend. They'll try to isolate units anywhere they can, even if they get destroyed. This next part, you'll find roughly turn 4, they'll start bringing their armor to bear. So you are going to be in for a bit of a slog. That's why it's very important if you have your armor at the spear tip that you actually make sure you have a specialist step on them, otherwise that unit will be destroyed. And you really do need all your armored units. There are only your 2 German motorized, your 2 Panzers, and then your German Panzergranate, which is the only real useful motorized. This Romanian Panzer is not that strong. Only slightly better than the German infantry there. Take note of this danger. If this guy crosses, it can be frustrating. So keeping units just there and there will stop that from happening, because it would be suicidal for him to attempt to cross. That was quite nice. We overrun him and he was still in reach. Just trying to keep that lane clear there. Engineers are so good. Their specialist step is just, it's brilliant. Across river without penalty, they can de-entrench units. They just almost the perfect specialist step. It was costly, but never mind. I've had a situation where I was about to win and I had a horseman come from up north, come all the way down, across the river, cut off my supply, and I was not able to achieve victory. And that was frustrating. So horsemen there are quite irritating. It is handy to keep some of your specialist step, some of your weaker units in the back, so not always disbanding, particularly if they're very, very back. But if they are a veteran unit, then it could always be quite nice just to reorganize him into, say, to reinforce your German motorized, so that if he's a veteran, for example, he'll actually not decrease the overall experience of that unit. I was a bit worried here because this is a significantly weakened unit, surrounded by 3 sets of armor units. So as you see, yeah, he did take a bit of a hit, but I was kind of relieved that Soviet tank did retreat there. It is hard to flank in this. These units hold the entire game. They'll just entrench here. Highly unlikely that they will move, which I suppose is a good tactic, but it means you have to tie up a relatively strong unit, like a German infantry with a special step, just to keep them there. Just watch out for your supply lines at the back, because you're going to have to keep an eye on the entire map each time that you progress forward here. So there we go, we're just reorganizing him quite nicely. These guys are all out of supply, so I will try to resupply them and connect them up. And my goal was to push north and then to cut off with this unit so far forward. I'm then going to bring these units across to the east so that I'm able to bring up my experienced and better German infantry units. Okay, the weather here has made it very difficult because, just as we can see, reduced efficiency in battle as well as reduced movement. So it's kind of frustrating. But we are just trying to push forward as much as we can. Yeah, that was expensive, that trade, but necessary. Okay, just keeping my units supplied the best I can. Also, if you do attempt to, we'll note right there in that situation that happened right here, because I resupplied him, it means he could attack, which means I could take his attack value and move it into movement. That's why he was able to move an extra step. If you do create gaps here, the AI will actually try to exactly partisan these areas to try to connect its experienced troops back up again. But which is quite handy because it means it's not doing it to do something useful, which is your supply route. Okay, this step here, you will notice that I have actually just cut off their supply. Just going to pause this for a moment. Cut off their supply through this, making this completely ineffective. Now they still do have 2 other supply sources, but it just means that there's definitely no chance of resupply through any of these lower units. Okay, so we're just isolating our attack on the road and trying to head up. You might almost have a column of units as you do progress up. And it might sometimes be a little bit messy like it was in my previous turn. As long as you have units on your line or protecting your supply route as you head up, you shouldn't have to worry too much. Infantry are really good here at just keeping that line okay and doing a little bit of cleanup. But if you can push forward, push forward. This guy here will always likely be out of supply because your supply route doesn't actually extend beyond the river, even though it's a it's a 10. So there we go. That's strange. It's a 10 supply and it's 10 to the road next to it. Yeah. Okay. So we're doing pretty well. We've got to take this by turn 9. As you can see. Take this critical supply center quickly. We need the rail link in order to advance north. Well, you need the rail link to advance anywhere. Again, with only one supply route in, you do have to very attentively guard that. So we just keep bringing that guy up. I decided I was going to use this Romanian Panzer to go with my main forces. Normally I scoot him up the side, but I found he's kind of useful. Okay, now I'm just trying to ink forward, push forward anywhere I can, any way I can. This weather just bogs you down. So you may wonder why I didn't attack this unit, because I knew I could hit it with the infantry. That's a very good unit right there. Just keeping the pressure up. Keep your units healthy, even if you're not using all your units and say you restack them. Like right now, I'd want to fix up that unit. There we go. Because he's on the front lines, you need to keep your units healthy. You can't afford in this to have them slowly degrade. Otherwise, by the time you get to the end, you're just gonna have nothing left. Okay, now I'm trying to draw this guy and take up their northern supply point. You may notice. My point is to then put this guy on this part and drag him up to this supply point in the west. And my other guy up into the north. You will notice that, yeah, this partisan ability can actually affect more than one tile if they're close together, which can be frustrating. That's, I guess, that's part of it. It's why you need to keep a guy on the road if you want to cut off supply. Okay, so yeah, we're making progress. We've got some clear skies. Quite nicely, your German heavy units will just absolutely smash any of these inexperienced units. There's absolutely no contest. So there we go. We just soften up the city. We have to take it next turn. It's possible to take this in turn 8, but the weather plays a massive part in that. It is winnable, certainly, because I've never had a game where the weather has been good all the way through. Now you might wonder why I'm pushing this unit down. Just to remind, I'd rather have these weaker Romanian units stationed in the rear so that they can avoid the enemy cutting off my supply, and then have my German units sort of follow up slightly behind the spearhead. This guy here can just make sure that there's no partisan ability, and he'll keep maybe the computer distracted. These guys will not do anything, they're just sitting on it. I may be able to resupply him, but I'd rather not waste time with it. It's almost a literal spearhead. It's quite funny. And maybe I should have done the airstrike before I attacked. These things, yeah, it's good to remember. Now, funnily enough, you think you'd pull that unit out and put a better one in, but I've just never seen that happen. So yeah, a good tactic, I guess, is to keep a guy over here because he will just keep the computer distracted. He might partisan here and partisan here. When you get the weather happening, it is good to, as we just take this objective. There we go. Nice. So we've got the first one. Brilliant victory. Now just keep pushing through. The weather is stopping me from moving. You want to keep a unit roughly in Stalingrad, a unit at the crossroad, and probably a unit around here. So you can stop any partisans' activity. Then, as you come to this part, this unit here is quite valuable. The strategy I found here is to shoot this unit off up this way. The reason, and I'm going to get rid of this window here, this toggle sheet, is because you want to draw off, I should say, units from defending here. So if I can draw this guy up here, thinking I'm going after the supply point, draw some men off here, like I've just drawn this horse off, this horseman off, this cavalry, and I may even draw off infantry that come in later on, which means my attacking force have a clear run at the objective. Okay, resupply him so I can push him out as far as I can go. We have now cut off supply to the north for these guys. I just want to make sure to clear out this. It's a little bit too close for comfort there. Okay. When you have storms, you can't generally attack with a unit in the rear. Because you only move a step or two. You have to move as you can go. Okay. This next part is kind of tricky. You do have 11 steps, so it means you don't really need to take this. And if you can perhaps go around, all the better in your last turn, but you need to keep supplied. Considering you do have your least supply ability, I would suggest shooting up at least one unit, and perhaps the unit with the recon ability, or recon capacity I should say, which it doesn't look like we have one. If you shoot a unit up, you will draw off some of their tanks, and maybe you can weaken them up a bit. It's very hard to go through that forest supply line here, because they can just partisan you, and then you are in significant trouble if you're cut off and you're not able to actually enforce that. You notice I have to keep a relatively experienced unit here, unfortunately, though the infantry's use at this point is coming to an end, because you will get clearer skies as things start to freeze over. Unfortunately, you're not quite going to be able to utilize them in your battle for the final objective, particularly in the turn required, though you may be able to at least clean up any forces and try to clear up this road. You will notice that supply starts to get iffy here. So there you go. I tried to circle around to draw this guy off, and now I'm just starting my weakening of this unit, because he is double veteran and quite difficult. Okay. Well, that is quite interesting. If you turn off your toggle sheet, you get it up here about what the unit is. So, you haven't really missed anything. Cross him back to the right side of the river. Now, yeah, I want to clean up this, because this is not good. Hopefully, I can now completely destroy this unit and get him clearing out some territory. Resupply him, and maybe I can shoot him up. So, very close. Okay, try to flank your armor and your motorized around. Yeah, that's no good. Now, if these units engage me here, you'll notice they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units, 7 units. You have 5 that you'll be able to bring into play. 5 versus 7, which is really 8, because you need to attack here, is not possible. So you want to try to draw them off where you can. And there we go. Once that happened, I knew I was in a great situation. He sacrificed himself for the fatherland. And there you go, Parsons' ability, cutting off supply. So now the AI is starting to be really intelligent. So this is why you have your units at the back, so you can try to counteract this. It's funny, remaining infantry, you can only do 1 damage to a completely killed off unit. Very important of the order of attack there. Then once you can get in, start hammering on them. Don't worry about these other units. You get cut off, you want to get that brilliant objective. But what saved me here was these 3 units not blocking me from attacking from the north flank. I knew I had it. So I've got, every unit should be able to come in within range, and I've got this. Okay. There we go. Again, these units just do not want to die. Okay, bringing the infantry up, it's not really worth it. We have to turn 14, so we really need to win it now. Hey, just do a air suppression, if possible, attack, and there we go. So that's how you do it. Everything was taken on turn. As you can see, they really needed to have the game world a bit further across. You can obviously see in the entire world map you are on the very, very edge, but still, that's just not good. Yeah, they should have had like a dead zone further out, where, say, on this map out here. But that's something for the designers and developers to think about. Maybe patching, maybe not. As far as going from the start, so just explaining. Okay, so disband this unit, take away specialist step, put it first on your armor, increase the reinforcements in these two units here, and because it's a veteran they won't lose that much veterancy. Push your way through with your engineer specialist step infantry, keep pushing up. Then once you've cleared that out, take off one of the specialist steps, or maybe even disband the entire unit. Put your next specialist step onto, where was it, your next, onto this fellow here, and then you can keep him just in case any of your other units here, like these two guys, need to be reinforced. Or perhaps you can reinforce it with just this unit. See, here's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so perhaps you can just do that. Pull these guys back to entice these two dudes here, come in, cut them off, shoot your infantry up here, and then bring them back around where possible. If you then come up across the river, put one unit on this side. This unit is a great one for just scooting off at the end. Keep pushing up like a spearhead and keeping your armored units up here. You'll eventually need to shoot off your armor unit up here. Your Romanian armor to the right flank, the left flank. Shoot up your infantry from 1 or 2 Romanian units to cut off supply for any in the rear, and keep digging through. And then when you come to here, you probably just want to scoot up here with one unit, or just push up with a panzer in the other. Hopefully you'll pull off some units from here, and you'll get your victory. Yeah, it's tough. There is no shortcuts, there's no guaranteed way to win, but hopefully these have been able to give you a little bit of help in that, and just keep trying. It can get frustrating because your horsemen can sneak around the rear and sometimes just cut off supply, and keeping your unit about here, here, and here means that you can respond to any partisan's ability. That may happen, particularly with these units. Yeah, and trying to get these ones particularly across. You can try attacking up here, but if they get this unit over here and try to force your way up here, but you just want to be up the railroad. Isn't that like a song? I've been working on the railroad. So yes, that's how it's done. Well, this has been one more. We've had 7 down, 1 to go. Whew. Well, this has been experience points, and I hope you've gained some experience from this. So comment below and let me know how you went, and I hope you've had a bit of fun. 1 left. Cheers, mate.